Farm family, it's Danny. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new, go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below. Don't forget to turn on the notification bell because it's always a mystery when I post new videos. And if you're not already following me on Instagram, please go do so. It is at Danny's Book Corner 2018. Post way more on there than I do on here and post detailed descriptions of books and things that I've done book related and all that jazz, so you should definitely go follow me on there. I am not feeling well. My nose is so stuffed up, so if I sound weird, I am sorry, but I wanted to get this video done because obviously July is over and we are in August now, and so I really wanted to make this July wrap up as soon as possible, which this was the soonest moment I could do it, so I'm gonna do that today. So July started off with a bang with reading. I went through book after book after book after book, and then about like 2 weeks to the end of July, I just plateaued. I stopped. I didn't pick up a book for like a week and a half. I was really fighting to push through a book that I was reading, and it ended up not being a great month. I could have done really well with my reading challenge, the Facebook group that I'm a part of that does the reading challenge. There was every opportunity for me to complete all the bonuses, all the criteria, everything, and I just flatlined. I think it's because my dance schedule, so we only teach 5 weeks over the summer, and it all happened to be in July and this first week of August, that I was teaching, so part of me was kind of like focused on dance, but also we got our fall schedule, so a lot of me was focused on like, what songs am I going to do, who's going to be in this group, what recommendations should I make to kids, and I kind of just put myself into my work for a couple weeks, and now that that's all planned out and everything, I think I should be okay. I also had to put myself into work because I am going away for a week in November. If you guys don't know this yet, I'm going on a cruise and I'm going to the Wizarding World for a week in November. And we do a Christmas recital, and I was thinking, oh, I want to get all this done, like all my choreography done, like have a solid sub plan, all that as soon as possible, so when it comes to November, I'm not feeling overwhelmed trying to get all that done for when somebody has to go in and sub for me for a week. So that was kind of what happened with my July reading, was I just kind of got buried into work and planning. I'm so excited for this cruise. I'm going with my parents and their friend. So my dad and his friend plan to like hang out a lot. My mom was like, I don't want to go alone, or like be alone all the time. So they're taking me with them to kind of hang out with my mom. And then I'm going to Wizarding World by myself because none of my family likes Harry Potter. I don't know why, because Harry Potter's amazing. But none of my family likes Harry Potter, so going by myself, which I'm okay with, but I'm debating if I want to vlog or if I want to just enjoy the experience. So if you guys have any like tips, like does vlogging hinder your experience when you're at Wizarding World, or like any tips like that, let me know in the comments down below so I can kind of plan my trip a little bit more. But we did finally get our flight tickets and all that, so I'm really excited to go. But we are here today for the July wrap-up, so let's get started because I don't feel good and I want to lay back down. So the first book I read in the month of July is Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret by Judy Blume. This book is about a preteen girl who is 11 going on 12, who's kind of discovering, like, you know, the stuff that happens to preteen girls when they're like 11 and 12, but also discovering boys and discovering religion as well. All of her friends that she has at her new school are very religious in either Judaism or Christianity, and she's kind of debating which side she should go more towards because she doesn't have a religion and she wasn't born under a religion. So she's kind of having all these questions and these life moments that happen when you're a preteen girl. So a lot of people are like, why would you read this? You're 27. I think you've passed this point of your life. And I have, but I never read this book as a preteen girl. So I kind of wanted to read it because it's referenced a lot in books and movies. I actually was just watching Psych the other night and they referenced it. So I wanted to just kind of read through it and just see what the hype was about, kind of thing. I didn't get any great vibes, like I don't know why it's referenced so often. I gave it 3 out of 5 stars just because this book was written in the 70s and I feel like a lot of it could be confusing for girls. Some of the stuff that they had in the 70s is not what girls use today to help with certain things, like, you know, I'm not going to say it on here because I don't want to get demonetized or blocked or anything like that, but you know what I'm talking about, okay? But they don't address it modernly or like have room to grow with it. It kind of is just what it is. So, yeah, I think it would be a little confusing for preteen girls today because the 1970s was a completely different time, and also, like, there wasn't, like, acceptance or anything, so, like, if you're a preteen girl who also thinks you might be in the LGBT community or something like that, like, this is definitely not the book to read because it's like, boys are great, I love boys kind of thing, and the girls in this book are kind of bullies. They're kind of bullies and kind of, I don't know, not nice, so I don't know how helpful this would be for somebody who's, like, going into middle school or something, but I give it 3 out of 5 stars because it is referenced so much. It was a beloved book back then, and I'm sure it helped a lot of girls back then. I just don't know how relevant it is today. So the next book I read in the month of July is a graphic memoir called Fun Home by Alison Bechdel. This is actually the book that was the basis for the Broadway musical Fun Home. So if you guys have ever heard of that, if you haven't, you should at least go listen to the soundtrack because it is an amazing, amazing musical. I've never actually seen it, but I've listened to the music a ton and I've watched as many clips as YouTube allows because it's just been one of those books that have really entertained me, or one of those musicals that have really entertained me just by the music. But anyway, this book is a graphic memoir, so it's written, you know, like a graphic novel. But basically what happens is the young girl, Allison, is kind of discovering that she's kind of more tomboy, but she's also kind of discovering that she might be a lesbian throughout the book. Within that, she has a very abusive father who runs a funeral home, and she's very numb to the point of death. Like, she doesn't understand, like, that death is a bad thing. She's grown up around it, so it's kind of just been, like, a part of her life. But as she's looking back and reflecting in this memoir, she's realizing that her father was also gay, and also, kind of not a great guy. He, beyond just being abusive, he was sleeping with younger men and stuff like that, but also he ends up taking his life, and so this kind of takes back, looking back, on what led to him taking his own life, and what kind of led to a lot of things in her life as she grows up. So this is, I don't want to give too much away because a lot of this book is like twist and turn and twist and turn and twist and turn. So I don't want to give a lot away, so I'm kind of just hinting around the summary. But I gave this book 4 out of 5 stars. I thought it was really, really good, a really great reflection of women who are kind of discovering themselves and discovering if they're part of the LGBT community, but also kind of that undertone of like, what if the people around you are not telling you the truth all the time kind of thing. So I really enjoyed this book. I read it so early in the month that I don't have a ton to say about it right now, but when I was reading it, I was addicted. I think I read it, oh yeah, I read it in one day. I read it in a day. It was that good. So, but yeah, Alison Bechdel, this is based on her life, and she's very open and she's very honest, and if you're somebody who is kind of starting to discover yourself, I would really recommend this book because it shed a light onto situations that I feel like a lot of people kind of hint around and they don't want to come right out and say it. So I really enjoyed this a lot. So the next book I read in the month of July was Ellen Foster by Kay Gibbons. This was a reread for me. I read it in high school. It is about a young girl whose mother passes away and she gets kind of stuck with her abusive father, but then they end up removing her from the home, and she is passed around from family member to family member, all treating her as poorly as the last. She's not accepted, she's not welcome, all that stuff, until she kind of discovers this family, this foster family, and she just knows she wants to be a part of that family, and she works hard to get to be a part of that family, and she does everything left side of stalking them because she just wants to be, she sees this mom taking in girls who are like her and she just wants to be a part of that. So this book I gave 5 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed this in high school. It's kind of stuck with me throughout the years. I reread it just because it has stuck with me, but I didn't remember a ton about it. So I really enjoy this book. I think it's a very honest look on foster care and kids who are kind of passed around the system, and when you're even put in a great home and you think that you're finally there, how it can get taken away from you. It's just very emotional. I said that it just, I have like my little cheat sheet over here, but I said it just made me sad. Like, it made me sad that little girls and little boys have to go through this. But yeah, so I enjoyed this book. I definitely think it's 5 out of 5 stars, but if you're not somebody who likes a lot of heavy-hearted stuff, then I wouldn't recommend it for you. It's also very triggering if you've been in abusive situations or if you've been in foster care, stuff like that. So just read with caution, and if you're somebody who likes a good laugh, this is not the book for you because there's not really many funny parts in here. But anyway, so the next book that I read was actually The Life All Around Me by Ellen Foster by Kay Gibbons, which this is really confusing because it says by Ellen Foster, but it's actually by Kay Gibbons because Ellen Foster is a fictional character. But this is the duology with the original Ellen Foster. I only gave this one 2 out of 5 stars. Basically what's happening is Ellen has been a part of her, I don't want to give too much away of the other book, but she's been a part of this new family that she's in for a few years, and things are going pretty well for her, but she also doesn't like having siblings. She wants to just be her and her new mom kind of thing. But she also is wicked smart, and she's just outgrowing her schooling. So she's trying to get into college, and she's just facing a lot of teenage drama. I didn't like this one as much as the original. I thought it was written many years after the original. The original was written in 1987, and this one was written in 2006. So it wasn't, the characters didn't hold up to what the originals did. So, like, I know that people develop over time, and I think that's what Kay Gibbons was kind of getting at, was like, oh, she's not going to be the same character that you loved in the first book, but I also feel like there needs to be a little bit of that same character that I loved for me to understand the duology or want to continue reading this book. But I did finish it, just wasn't great. Didn't enjoy it too much. The next book that I read was actually an audiobook. I read Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid. If you guys have not read this book yet, I highly suggest it. It is so amazing. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars, but it basically takes place around a fictional rock group called Daisy Jones and the Six in the 70s, which is all sex, drugs, and rock and roll, and it is just true to that sex, drugs, rock and roll kind of aspect. There is Daisy Jones, who comes in. She is a party girl. She is addicted to drugs, and she kind of joins this group whose leader is clean and sober from drugs. So there's a lot of feuding, a lot of anger, a lot of frustration, and just how the music is made and stuff like that. It is a fictional group, but when you are reading it or listening to it, the audiobook is a full cast audiobook, so everybody is played by a different person. It's not just some weird guy doing crazy high-pitched voices of girls, which drives me nuts in audiobooks. But it is a full cast of characters, and it just kind of brought it to, I forgot that it wasn't a real band. Like, the whole time I'm like, oh man, I gotta listen to that song, but I'm like, oh, it's not a real song, it's a fake song. So yeah, so Taylor Jenkins Reid did an amazing job. I actually just downloaded another audiobook by her called The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo that I'm looking forward to reading because I really enjoyed this book, and I intend to actually buy the hard copy of it because I just enjoyed it so much that now I want to read it, not listening to it, just read it and see how I enjoyed the actual book part. So yeah, 5 out of 5 stars for that one. The next book I read was Matilda by Roald Dahl. I'm sure most of you have read this book. I love Matilda. This was a reread for me. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars just because it didn't really hold up past my childhood like love for Matilda, but I loved the movie growing up, read the book in like middle school. But basically this is about a little 5-year-old girl who is just starting school, and she lives with a very neglected family. Her parents don't understand her. She's whip smart. Like, she is so smart that she teaches herself to read, cook, do things, and she actually gains full power of her brain, that she can actually develops telekinetic powers. But she goes to this school that is run by an evil headmistress named Mrs. Trunchbull, but she has the sweetest teacher in the whole world named Miss Honey, who sees potential in her and sees all the amazing things that she is. This book is just sweet, it's simple, and it was just a quick read, and I just love it. It just brings me back to my childhood. But yeah, Matilda, guys. If you haven't, I was gonna say, if you haven't at least read the book, then you should at the least see the movie, because the movie is also really amazing, and was, Mara Wilson played Matilda, and Mara Wilson, was that her name? Oh, I feel like that's her name. If I'm wrong, comment below, but I feel like it's Mara Wilson. But she played Matilda, and she was also in Mrs. Doubtfire. So I just really like the book, and I like the movie. They're both 5 stars to me, even though they're slightly different. So the next book that I read is Coraline by Neil Gaiman. Also a reread for me. Basically what happens in this book is a little girl named Coraline is very bored in her new home, so she goes off to seek an adventure, and she opens a door that kind of opens her up into a mirror world where everything is the same, but it's just slightly different, and her parents are there, but they are like creepy, evil versions of her parents. It's a very haunting book for a children's book. I forgot how kind of creepy it is. It definitely left me with the chills. I did read it in one day. I read it, started reading it at Barnes & Noble and then came home and finished it. But I gave it 3 out of 5 stars just because I feel like as an adult I enjoyed it. First of all, the movie's horrible, so don't watch the movie. I watched like 15 minutes of the movie and couldn't stand it. But like as an adult reading this, I was like, this is kind of creepy. And like I can't imagine, I don't know what I was thinking when I read this. I think I read it in like 4th or 5th grade, but I must have been like not understanding what was going on because it's actually kind of creepy. It's a creepy book. But yeah, I did enjoy it. I just also looking at like it's for kids, I was like, I don't know if I would recommend this book to a child. But yeah, so the next book that I read, guys, this one was so hard to get through. I, Robot by Isaac Asimov. I love I, Robot the movie. And this is going to be one of those rare cases where I like the movie better than the book, but it has nothing to do with the book. So that's why they literally just took the title for the movie and made their own thing, probably because the book was so hard to get through. So basically this is a collection of short stories kind of written from the files of a fictional robo-psychologist named Susan Calvin, and it's kind of what she has learned throughout the time of the development of robots and humanoids. There was a good short story. There was a couple good short stories in there. I really liked Escape, and I really liked Robbie. Those 2 were good, but there were so many parts that I'm like, I just want to skim this. I just want to skim this because it's a fictional thing. You're getting developed into the world, but they're using terminology that doesn't exist in the real world and not explaining what it means. So I'm sitting there like, what is that with the science and the rockets and all that stuff, and like is that a real rocket thing? Because I'm not a scientist, so I don't know. It was so hard to get through, guys. It took me a long time. I started it on July 13th and didn't finish it till July 27th, so it took me a long time to get through, and it was literally one of those things where I was like, if you read one of the short stories in it today, you get to watch TV afterwards. And I never have to bribe myself to finish a book, but I do have a DNF policy this month, or like a DNF policy this year where I'm not DNFing any books this year. That is my goal. I've stuck to it so far, but man, was this one hard to get through. Anyway, I'm sure there are people out there who enjoy sciencey, robot-y stuff. I am just not one of them. Just not one of them. The last book I read in the month of July was an audiobook. I read Words in Deep Blue by Kath Crowley. What happens in this book is Rachel has just lost her brother. He drowned in the ocean, and so to kind of overcome her sadness and stuff, she goes to live with her aunt in her old hometown, where she's forced to work with her ex-best friend and crush, Henry, who is going through his own form of heartbreak. The narration bounces back and forth between Henry and Rachel. Within the place that she works, which is a bookstore that Henry's family owns, there is a collection of books called the Letter Library, where people are allowed to write in books and leave letters to each other. So you're also getting that element of the narration too, where you're listening to what people wrote in these books and stuff like that. I gave this book 3 out of 5 stars. My friend read it and she hated it, and she said it was like the worst book that she read last year. I didn't mind it. I thought it was a very honest book, but I also felt like there wasn't a lot of like hope within it, and a lot of the stuff rode on like who you're with. Like it was a lot of love, a lot of romance and stuff like that, where I'd rather her have kind of overcome all this on her own. She had to overcome it with a guy, and I don't like books like that. Like it just doesn't sit well with me. I think my friend didn't like it as well because there's a lot of swearing. Like it's hard to get through a page without a swear word on it. But overall, I thought the audiobook was pretty good. It had 2 people playing the audiobook characters, 1 person playing Rachel, 1 person playing Henry. So it wasn't horrible to listen to. I did have to speed it up because it was read very slow, but overall it wasn't a horrible book. I didn't dislike it as much as my friend did. It just didn't really do anything fantastic for me. So anyway, those are the July books that I read. I read 9 total. I don't think I said that in the beginning. I'm hoping to do better in August. I have a lot of time off in August. I have a lot of time off. I'm only working 4 days in August. Well, no, I work 1 week and then 4 days after that 1 week in August. So I'm hoping I have more time to read and I can kind of get out of that, like, I gotta get stuff done for work brain that I had going on. But yeah, so that was July. Again, I had a couple really, really good 4 or 5-star books. And I also had a couple that were like, I can't get through it, I can't get through it. Why is this book in existence? So that's that. If you guys like this video, go ahead and give it a big thumbs up. Don't forget to comment down below if you think I should vlog my trip to Wizarding World or if you think I should kind of just enjoy the experience. Yeah, I will see you guys soon. I hope to make more videos sometime this week or within the next couple of weeks of just kind of random stuff. I have a couple boxes to unbox coming up soon, and I am going to try to get into doing more vlog style videos. I don't know how I feel about that, but I've heard they go over pretty well, so we'll give it a try. Thank you for all my new subscribers out there. I have jumped up 10 subscribers this month, which doesn't seem like a lot, but I'm sure looking back on this in like a few years, I'll be like, wow, 10 subscribers was a lot back then. So yeah, thank you guys so much. And if you guys want to see anything crazy or weird or anything I've got, like, I should be careful of what I say with that, but like if you guys want to see any challenges or stuff like that, I'm open to ideas. So go ahead and give a comment down below if you think I should do something new and exciting and kind of revamp this YouTube channel a little bit. Thanks so much for watching. Bye!